I can't believe it. PlayStation finally has a good multiplayer. And get this, PlayStation gamers are actually listing it when I said this troll post here. But Erica, we have Helldivers. Hello, we have a good multiplayer. I really just can't believe it, you guys. After Factions was canceled and we had to listen to all the "we don't need multiplayer, Sony is best at single player" having asses. They don't call it the Lonely Station for nothing, you guys. Fans are now excited about multiplayer again. It's seriously a Valentine's Day miracle. Helldivers 2 is actually a lot of fun to play when it works, because the days of connection issues at launch don't seem to be going away anytime soon, and Helldivers 2 is no exception. There has been some connection issues at launch, but thankfully the Helldivers team are very hard at work to fix the issues on both PlayStation and especially on Steam. And there's a lot of transparency and updates to the fans in between, which is a very good thing. It's kind of funny because that threat of disconnecting actually adds to the tension. As I was running for my life in this example right here, I was trying to make it to the extraction and basically just get out of harm's way. But I was also thinking to myself, please don't disconnect. Do not disconnect because I need to make it. And I was sweating even more. But even when disconnects aren't the issue and everything's going smoothly, Helldivers 2 really still offers that tense multiplayer experience that I desperately needed. Even when I'm playing with randoms, I'm having those epic moments, which honestly, that's not an easy thing to do. So Helldivers 2, I have to give it some praise just on that alone. I think a big reason for it being so tense and so exciting is that it requires a ton of teamwork, along with just having to hold my own skill-wise. Even when I'm a lower level than the other teammates, I have the opportunity to make a huge difference in the fight, and I think that's what makes the experience so good. I feel like I'm actually saving my teammates, and like I'm a hero in certain situations, from blasting an enemy that's chasing my teammate to dropping an orbital airstrike like this as we're fighting for our lives, obliterating just so many multiple enemies at once. It honestly feels like I'm saving the day, not once or twice or every so often, but multiple times, and that's really an awesome feeling. Seeing those airstrikes come down is just the best. And this game being third person, co-op, PvE like this, where it's a direct comparison to Starship Troopers, a classic movie that I watched many, many times. I mean, what's not to love here?
Oh God! We're gonna die! Don't you understand? We're all gonna die!
To me, Helldivers 2 is easy to pick up, but it's somewhat hard to master when it comes to certain things about it. And there's little intricacies and details within the gameplay that I feel could take time to learn. So the more I'm playing, the more I'm learning how to just kind of do the obvious, but it's not so obvious at times, if that makes sense. When it comes to like the angles I'm shooting these enemies, when it comes to my positioning and where I should be when certain things are happening, and even when it comes to the obvious things, I could take the action to get away from something and protect myself, but then I might end up doing something stupid afterwards. So it's a constant trial and error, but I think that adds to the fun because there's these moments that any little mistake where, you know, I can just completely fail even though I thought I was fine. So I think that just adds a layer of challenge to the game. It adds a layer of strategy, especially with friendly fire being a huge factor. That adds multiple layers to how we have to strategize and how we have to work together. On top of that, communication is also very important, which is pretty obvious in a game like this. But once you're in it, you're actually playing, it becomes even more obvious. Like, yeah, we got to look out for each other. We got to communicate. Even if it's just pinging a location or an enemy, we have to do those things in order to work well and be successful. Because if we just go in there doing whatever we want and not caring about each other, it's probably going to be a disaster. So that communication and that teamwork and it being so important and being a crucial thing for the fight and for us being successful, I think that just adds more to it to make me love it and love the experience, especially when it's so chaotic and everybody's just trying to hang on and survive. It just gets really epic and it causes these epic moments and you feel like a damn hero at times. I think that's a huge part of this game, and what makes it so good is that you can feel like a hero and like you're really saving your team. And not to mention how weighted I feel in this game, how heavy I feel. And it's not in a bad way. It's not a game where you can just jump around and have these floaty mechanics. You are weighted down, and it has this touch of realism to it where you have the stamina bar, you have to use different techniques required in order to use certain weapons, and also to traverse the world as well, because depending on the environment and the terrain, you might have to go up a mountain at a certain angle or have to circle around it, or it just depends on what's going on and if there's enemies even in the vicinity. They can pop out of nowhere and just take you down if you're not prepared. So there's always that threat. And I do feel that can turn people off, because I have seen the opinion going around that some have been saying this game feels clunky or slow, or they just don't like the movement. But really what it is your character is very weighted down. He's solid, or she's solid, right? And they work this terrain and this map in a different way than you maybe are used to. This isn't Halo or something like that where it's very floaty and you can just jump where you want. It's not that game. So I think that movement and the style of having this heavy character, it just adds a different layer of challenge to the game, but I feel like it's fitting at the same time just based on the environment and based on the kind of character that you're maneuvering in this world. My son's going wild right now. Let's see if I can finish this video. So yeah, it's a different kind of game. It's not Halo or something. Let's just put it out there, right? It's not that. But I think it's a great game. I think it's, fun so far. I've been having a good time with it. Basically what we're doing is we're taking on these missions to clear out the areas of bugs and other enemies, and then we're taking on extra bigger bugs that can feel like boss fights. And when we do this along with other various tasks, we earn credits and medals, and we can use these to unlock more weapons and abilities. And so this brings up the question of, is it pay to win? Because that's the debate right now going around. And while the developers came out and said, no, it's not pay to win, technically, if we want to be technical about it, it is somewhat pay to win, because you can use real money to unlock things faster than someone else who just plays the game. So there is this kind of quote unquote advantage, but the argument can be made that the Helldivers team handled pay to win very well. And all of us who are playing aren't really feeling that sense of grind that is needed to get these weapons and abilities, because we get them pretty fast just by playing. And the fact that I only have to play a couple missions to get what they have, at least so far, that's how it feels, it doesn't feel as intrusive or grindy or overwhelming, like, man, they're just so much better than me and I feel like I can't keep up and they're carrying me around like dead weight. It doesn't feel like that, because even at a low level, or if I'm missing something that they have, I still feel like I can hold my weight and I can contribute to the fight. So I think that's what I think helps this game. I think they're handling the pay to win better than other games, because if we bring up a bad example like Assassin's Creed, which is a game that I've actually made videos on in the past, where I complained about the grind and I complained about the XP and how it doesn't really work that well, and it makes us want to buy the XP because of how grindy it is. This game so far has not made me feel like that, thankfully. So I think when the developers come out and say, hey, it's not pay to win, and when others are defending the game, I think they're not really acknowledging that, yes, technically it's pay to win, but it's handled in a much better way than something like Assassin's Creed, which I think we can give it some credit for. So Yeah, that debate is definitely going on, and because of how I feel about the game and how it's handled, it's not really an issue for me yet. All right, we're still early in this experience, but so far I feel it's so good. So I'm not really anti Helldivers 2 or something like that. But besides that debate, though, most people, along with me, seem to really be enjoying this game, and the improvements to Steam especially have helped it greatly when it comes to the reviews and word of mouth, and I think that's really helping the concurrent player count go up, which is nice to see. I do feel Helldivers 2 is earning the praise it's getting. I'm glad we're talking about multiplayer, especially on the Sony side of things, even though it's not an owned studio, but hey man, they have some multiplayer for once, right? Let's give them a little clap there. So yeah, and I do see the community, you know, teaming up with each other. Everybody's working on trying to get games together and meet up for playing and stuff, and that's just awesome. Having some little play dates, you know? I'm trying to do that too. But yeah, people are sharing highlights and funny moments, and that's always cool to see. So I'm glad Helldivers 2 is doing well. I think it's a fun game. And that's pretty much my thoughts on it so far, you guys. Let me know what you think about Helldivers 2. Do you feel it's pay to win? Do you not feel it's pay to win? And even if you do feel it is, do you think it's that much of an issue? I'm curious what you guys think, all right? Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye.
Pelican 1 preparing to depart. Shuttle launch in 20 seconds.